This is Nuance Spanish, where we look at Spanish in a nuanced way. We are going to look at some lyrics because I noticed that there's one singer that is kind of trending on TikTok. Some of you might have heard of him before. Uh, if you know, you know. Luis Miguel. Let's see if here you go. We got La Mentira is number one trending right now. Now I'm not gonna play this song because I don't really wanna steal views or streams from this song. Really good song, of course. If you're familiar with Luis Miguel's catalog, you would know pretty much every song by him is a banger. About 90%, if not more. Uh, this singer is from Mexico. He is one of the world's greatest singers, or considered one of the world's greatest singers by a lot of people. If you're big into singing, you're what we call a voice nerd. You might have heard of him. So something very very interesting about Luis Miguel is that so much has happened to this guy that they literally made an official Netflix show about him. But anyways, let's look at the lyrics from this song. And I in particular found this one website that I kind of wanted to look at. This website makes translations from whatever the original lyrics are into English so that people can, kind of understand what the songs are about. The thing about this song is that it is very hard to translate. If you and I don't know that this website is really doing a great job. Like it looks like maybe they're just literally translating words, or which is also very likely, it is possible that someone just looked at these lyrics and said, "This is the best that I can do." These lyrics are a little bit hard to translate. If you're a Spanish student, or if you're studying Spanish and you wanna improve your Spanish, I will definitely I will definitely recommend to look at lyrics and try to understand them. Now, Spanish and English are a little different with their philosophy about lyrics. In English, it is said that lyrics and poetry are not the same. But in Spanish, lyrics are a form of poetry. Just right off the bat, I think that kind of um, makes the authors go through a different kind of lens. While, of course, the lyrics are very honest, they are going to be expressed in a way that is slightly more dramatic or slightly more theatrical, let's say, than normal speak. Or at least that was the trend a couple decades ago. This song is not too old. It's from 1991. It's from the late 1900s. So let's go over the lyrics. This is La Mentira, which means the lie. Now you all know what it sounds like. Swelling strings take us to the intro, which starts with this phrase, Se te olvida que me quieres a pesar de lo que dices. So, this first line is actually not completely means translated. Se te olvida, you forget. Pretty much. This part, that you love me despite what you say. Uh, sure that you love me in spite of what you say will probably be a more accurate way of looking at this. Um, pues llevamos en el alma cicatrices imposibles de borrar. Well, the fact that it's just like, well, we carry scars in our soul, impossible to erase. Um, and you get to one of the first obstacles of translating this word. These pues, it doesn't really have a translation. I guess you could say well, but I feel like this doesn't go with the tone of the song. So we carry, for sure, we carry, comma, in our souls, comma, I don't know why they have these commas. We carry in our souls scars, impossible to erase. So far, so good. Se te olvida que hasta puedo hacerte mal si me decido. You forget I can even do you wrong if I decide. If I decide to, I would say. So far, not too terrible. Now, this phrase, pues, again with the pues, almost impossible to translate. Here they say cause, which is not missing so much the meaning. So, cause your love, I have it very committed. That's the literal translation. Here it says you have your love very promised. This translation is not work that does not work. That you have your love very promised. This does not really tell you what this is saying. This says because your love I have I have your love very much promised to me. It's what this is saying. The order of the words in Spanish don't always make sense in English. And they have to be turned around, change places in order for it to make sense in English because Spanish has this really interesting thing where Yoda speak makes sense. If you are not familiar with Yoda, I don't. Well, I mean, it's a character from Star Wars that speaks backwards. So Yoda will probably say something like, "The lights to turn on, you must," something like that. He will say stuff that sounds kind of backwards. In Spanish, that's not considered backwards. That's just another way of expressing things. There aren't that many. The order of words are not super um, limited by a lot of rules. Maybe some adjectives have have to follow an order. Like a big example of this is artificial intelligence. In Spanish, would be intelligence artificial, inteligencia artificial. So that would be is that so that's one that has to follow an order rule. But in general, you can make your sentence be kind of backwards, what we will call backwards in English, but it will still make sense in Spanish. And when you're trying to translate this word for word, you're not really getting it because this is literally word for word, more or less. But this is not understanding what this sentence is saying. Anyways, pero a fuerza no será, but by force it will not be. Look at that. That's literally what it says here. But what does this mean? But by force it will not be. What will it not be? This is saying that I have your love already promised to me, but you're not gonna give it to me. But I'm not gonna take it by force. Is what this is saying. You're gonna if you're even though your love is promised to me, you're gonna give it to me out of your own free will. Is kind of what this is trying to say. But by force it will not be. It kind of sounds like like an incomplete sentence in English, like an incomplete idea. This is kind of like I can kind of understand what you're saying, but this is kind of hard to translate. But it gets worse. So, y hoy resulta que no soy de la estatura de tu vida. And today it turns out I'm not of the height of your life. I'm sure you can kind of get the gist. So this says basically now it turns out I don't measure up to your standards. I know those are not the literal words that are here. These are more of the literal translation. But I'm not the height of your life doesn't really make a lot of sense either. This cannot be translated literally all that much. You kind of have to go around and to think about like would they localize or they like translate video games or movies? They kind of have to move things around in order for it to make sense in English. You can't always make a one-to-one translation, and that's kind of what this is doing. And if you're not super familiar with what these idioms mean, you're just gonna be like, "I'm not to the height of your life." Like, what? Yeah, I don't measure up to your standards. Is what that means. So even though I had your love promised to me, I will not take it by force, right? You will give it to me voluntarily. And I'm saying this because now it turns out that I'm not measuring up to your standards, right? So, y al dejarme casi se te olvida. And by leaving me, you almost forget the it is not necessary. This would have been perfect if it wasn't for the it. So, que hay un pacto entre los dos. That there is a pact between the two of us, is what it should be. Between the two of us. Or we have a pact, right? But this is not too terrible. Just add the two of us. And that will be a complete sentence that means what this is saying. Okay. So now we got a little bit more this way. Now we got it's very noisy out here. Uh, y por mi parte, te devuelvo tu promesa de adorarme. This is a strong, this is a very strong translation. For my part, literally the words that are here, I return your promise to worship me. This sounds really strong. Por mi parte would be for my part, but this is not an idiom that you use in English, right? This will be kind of like on my end, or kind of this could just be I. This could just mean I, or to my judgment, I return to you. Promesa in this case does mean this is promise, but to understand this in English would be better to say, I revoke your commitment to love me. Now, adorarme is literally worship me, but these words are not used in any way, shape, or form in the same way in English and Spanish. In English, you say you worship a god or something like that. Adorar does translate into worship, but it's not used in the same way. This just means that you're purely loving someone, right? So this, in order to make more sense in English and to not sound really weird or out of place, would be better translated as love me. Though understand this does translate into worship, and you can use this as to say worship a god. Ni siquiera sientas pena por dejarme. Here's some nuance. This translates this as do not even feel shame for leaving me. Now, here is why this is mistranslated. So I know that in Mexico, where Luis Miguel happens to be from. This word means shame. It is colloquially used to mean shame, but pena actually means sadness. It is also related to penalty. So this is also a pena could be a form of punishment. So it's not, and yeah, sure. If you're punished, then you are being shamed, whatever. But in this case, pena doesn't mean shame. This pena is sadness. Do not even feel sadness for leaving me. Like don't be sad for leaving me. Luis Miguel is trying to tell her it ain't nothing, right? And the next line says, que ese pacto no es con Dios. This word here is really strong. This pact, that's what this says, pact, is not with God. This covenant is it has religious connotations. This kind of misrepresents really what the idea is in this line here. So why, even though these translations are literal, am I saying that that they're not correct? Why worship me isn't correct, even though these literally says worship me? Because when we are translating or understanding another language, we want to think of it as what is the meaning or intent behind these words? Because the literal words are not really telling you the story. Think about the idiom in English, here goes nothing, which literally means I'm gonna give it my all. But what you're saying is that nothing is what's coming up, right? You're giving nothing. Here goes nothing. But it means you're giving it your all, right? So if you were translating here goes nothing to another language, you will be remiss to translate it literally because it wouldn't make sense. So kind of the same thing here. Even though this word truly is worship me, it will not make sense to translate it that way because then you are having, in my opinion, low fidelity to the meaning behind this sentence. And you definitely want to have high fidelity, so bit high five, in order to understand. Because if you don't have that, then you are just kind of translating something that could be misconstrued or something that could literally be nonsense. So here, now we have a little bit of repetition. You can see this and this is the same thing. Um, and it repeats down here again, right? Even though this is the same thing, up here says covenant, then here says pact. Pact makes a lot more sense. So, anyways, what is this song saying? This song is a dialogue between their protagonist, whomever it is, could be Luis Miguel or just someone who has a lover. And seems like they're having a heart to heart with their lover. And they are saying, even though you've made a commitment to love me, there is no reason for you to go through with it if you don't want to. Remember, our pact is between the two of us, not between you and God or between us and God. Saying, yeah, we're not even married. Like, chill. It's basically what this song is. This whole thing, and when you listen to it, this whole beautiful song is basically him just being like, chill. Like, chill. We're just kind of seeing each other, like, relax. So I think that's kind of funny that the song is actually a super casual conversation, like basically like a player being like, it ain't no thing. Relax, girl. We're not even married or anything. But if you listen to the song, it's like this beautifully orchestrated piece with elevated poetry just to say this kind of mundane message. But that's kind of like the irony and the beauty of it. It's called The lie. Now, interesting, the word the lie is never included in the song. Nowhere in the song do you see this is a lie or nothing. It is implied, right, that what we're looking at is she is misunderstanding. She has in her mind a lie. She's believed the lie that this is more than what it is, which is just a pact between the two of them to mess around. So hopefully you got some value from this, that you enjoyed getting these new ones into your translations. I would encourage you to look at other lyrics and try to translate them. And don't think of it as I got translated word for word, because that is not really getting the message across. So this has been Nuance Spanish. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share it more than anything. And please go listen to this song because it is a bop.